Okay, what we're going to start doing today is looking at how to draw something from a grid. And so first things first, we use a grid drawing usually to make our work a little bit faster and a little bit more accurate. And so if I'm going to put all my attention into the color or the technique that I'm going to do, occasionally I will grid it so that I can draw it out really fast. In this photograph that I have, it's 8 by 10, it's got a lot of big detail. So if it has big detail, I want to use a big grid. And so you can draw directly on the photo, or like I like to, I use acetate, and what I will do is line it up on grid paper, and I'll use a Sharpie marker to kind of draw it out. In this picture, since it's got big details that kind of fit within this 1-inch square, I used a 1-inch grid. On a photo maybe like this, where the details are small, I would use maybe a 1/2-inch grid so that it would work out. So what I'm going to do is work on the bigger one. I'm going to line it up on at least 2 edges, and then I'm going to tape it down into place to ensure that it doesn't move. And so I've done that already here. Typically what I do is I just tape it on one side so that if I want to lift it up and down, I can. Now, in order to enlarge this, I need to know the dimensions. So this is 8 by 10. So what I did is I wanted to make it twice as big, so I cut a piece of illustration board or mat board to be 16 by 20. Okay, so I'm making it bigger. And so what I'm going to do is multiply by 2. And so on the grid, if it's a 1-inch grid, I'm going to make it 2 inches on the board. So what I'm going to end up doing is taking a piece of board, and I know this is kind of hard to see on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to line it up. All right, I'm going to line it up. I'm going to make tick marks. So I'm going to do every 2, 4, 6. Okay, I'm going to keep doing this until I have it where I've drawn it all on all 4 sides. Okay, you can see this one's a little bit short than the 20, and so if that's the case, what I'm going to do is make sure that I keep the board in the same position on the other side, and I'll start on the far side here, and I'll measure 2, 4, 6, 8, so you can see here that the little bit of extra that I had is on the same end here, so I'll measure that as well. Okay, then what I'll do is I'll connect the tick marks, which I wish I had a bigger stand here so I could show you better, but I'd line that up, so the one on the top and the bottom, I line those up, and I draw a straight line. Okay, so then what's going to happen, and this is on my board that I'm using for my drawing, I have a grid that is 2 inches around the entire thing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on the detail. So I'm going to work square by square. And so on the photo, there's nothing in the first, and then in the second square there's just a little bit of detail. So I'm going to draw that same percentage of little detail on the board. And I'm going to make sure that whatever is the negative space in the photo is the shape of the negative space on the board. I'm going to draw lightly. Here I drew it a little bit darker so that you could see it, but you want to make sure that you draw percentage-wise. So the whole point of the grid is for accurate detail. It's not a time to do really, general details. You want to be really specific. On things like the eye, sometimes what I do is I'll divide up on the photo, and I'll make it a smaller grid there, and then I'll do the same thing on the board so that I can make sure that the percentage on the photo and on the drawing is accurate, because I want to make sure that I draw it the same size. So I think this eye was too high, so I'm going to have to actually go in and lower it so that it's more accurate. So this is times that you can kind of fix any mistakes that you might have. Of course, lost my eraser in the process of this. Oh, here we go. Right. So I can, erase what I had and make it more accurate. So touch is like around here. It's super skinny. I think that was the part, is that I made it too high because his eyelid is closed. So I look and see where I see his iris and draw that in. Okay, so I'm going to do this until I get the entire picture drawn in. I'm only going to draw what I see. So where, you know, his hood over here dissolves into blackness, I don't have to do that, but I could draw in the shape of the line of the edge of his hood. I can draw in any of the coat details that I see, obviously his fingers and his Kindle, his tablet. I'm going to draw in all of those details.